Alright, let's look at some builds to take out the Rebellion series of Colossals. This first set is early game accessible, utilizing weapons and armor that you can access in the mountains or in the first section of the forest. Now I'm using machine guns for these, but they're only in use because they're low memory. You can use anything else that will fit within your build. They're not a primary part of the build. These are just to supplement the damage. The real damage output comes from the Songbird knife. This is going to be the star of the show, as it's got massive weak point exploit, and that's what we're going to be targeting on Rebellion for this first build. Now, of course, the Glitter Cannon, which is the MVP of early game builds, is present because Rebellion is highly weak to laser element, and this provides great laser attribute damage and good flinch per second as well. Now, just like with my other build guides, I'm sticking to the rule that all arsenal pieces must be from the same set. So for this arsenal, we're going to be using the War Scythe set. War Scythe is obtainable in the mountains at the start of the game from strays, as well as rarely found in chests and beacons. War Scythe has good positive defenses and enough memory capacity to hold this build. I'm also using the combo thrust skill for the dagger. This isn't necessary, but it does help, especially if you're playing on higher difficulty. You can find the combo thrust ability on multiple early game monsters, including the Milan, Phyleon, and a few other easy to hunt down immortals. If you're looking for the Oxo legs, you'll likely get this factor from the Qual as you do that as well. Now, there are a lot of ways to tackle Rebellion. He's got weak points in his elbows and his knees. You can break his shield. I think you can even hit him with his own sword. But the most straightforward way to take him out is to simply shoot his chest plate until it breaks. Once it does break, there's going to be a permanent weak point hidden behind an energy field. When you break that energy field, you'll have an easily accessed permanent weak point that you can maximize your damage with. It takes a little bit of uptime compared to taking out going for like the knees or the elbows, but the long-term gain is worth it, and it's a very simple, straightforward method to take out all forms of Rebellion.
Keep your eyes peeled and be aware of your surroundings.
Do note, he is not immune to stun, but stun does not affect him for very long. You get just a few seconds of stun out of him, and then he breaks out of it and continues on. Now, if you're playing on story mode, the fight is already over right now. I'm actually fighting him on hard mode, so I'm out of ammo, and I need to resort to the knife. If you're running on lower difficulties, you likely will be already done at this point. But for those of you that are running on higher difficulties, for whatever reason, you can use the Songbird to target his central point here and deal out massive damage and take him out rather quickly.
Knock that sucker down! You carried that battle.
Alright, now that we've got the early game build out of the way, let's look at an upgrade for the Rebellion Alpha variant. Now for this build, we do away with weak point exploitation and instead focus on laser damage output. This is a much more straightforward setup, and it does very high damage. We're using dual laser gun vambraces as our primary damage output method, and we've got Hera's Grudge as the upgrade to Glitter Cannon. Hera's Grudge is not a straight upgrade to Glitter Cannon. In your Glitter Cannon, depending on its quality rolls may actually be stronger than your Hera's Grudge, but Hera's Grudge has it on two main things. One is ammunition capacity being notably higher. Even C rank Hera's Grudge is going to have more ammunition than A rank Glitter Cannon. And two, it does more than twice the flinch value, making it much easier to stagger with Hera's Grudge over Glitter Cannon. And as we've seen before, Glitter Cannon is really good at staggering. The armor set that we're using is called a Crixie. Now, a Crixie has no physical or laser damage defenses, but it's got high basic defense, and most importantly, and the reason that I chose this set, it's got the best speed and memory consumption balance of midweight armor that I have seen. So this is a great set for running this build and staying mobile. Rebellion Alpha is not much different than his basic form, other than that he's a little bit tankier and he starts using a few small projectile weapons, but otherwise it's pretty much the same cat. You're going to focus on the chest plate, pop the center dome, and then just focus all your damage on that easy to target permanent weak point. And that's pretty much his whole fight. He will melt relatively fast, and again, as I said before, all of the rebellions I accidentally filmed, I fought them in hard mode. So if you're on story mode, these fights are going to go far, far faster than this. But even with this setup, it's still a sub 2 minute build easily. You'll notice I'm not spamming Hera's Grudge too much, and that's so I can stay ready to dodge his telegraph physical attacks. As if you're firing Hera's Grudge, you may be a little delayed on dodging. But once he gets down, I'll then refocus the damage and add that extra DPS.
Get lost! That can't be good! Someone! Take this! Knock that sucker down! I almost had a heart attack.
Alright, so now that we've established dominance over Rebellion Alpha, let's look at a build for Rebellion Beta. Now this is just taking the weak point exploit of the first build and the laser damage of the second build, combining them and cranking them both up to 11. This build here does absolutely bonkers damage output. Now for the arsenal itself, we are running the Futsunushi set. Futsunushi has good defenses across the board, relatively high VP, and good shooting performance. But most notably, it's got high memory capacity, which is what we need to run Gaia Ray. Gaia Ray is a higher DPS variant of the Hera's Grudge and Glitter Cannon, but it does suffer from relatively low ammo. Luckily, we've got the auxiliary ammo attachment, so we don't have to worry about that too much. Now, as for the primary weapons, I'm using Vanish Loa 2s. If you don't have Vanish Loa 2s, you can just use regular Vanish Loas, and they're basically going to be identical. You're going to lose a little bit of damage per second, but the damage per shot between the two is relatively similar, and even though Vanish Loa has more ammunition, you're not going to need all of that ammo, so you'll be alright with either one of these. And then, of course, we've got the triple stars for weakness exploit. If you saw the Growsome build video, you know what these things can do. Rebellion Beta does have some unique mechanics compared to his brothers, including better ranged attacks, but you're not going to be able to see much of that if you use this build, because he's simply not going to be able to do much of anything. It does so much stagger, so much damage per second. He's constantly flinching, staggered. gets down, he just really can't defend himself well, and this build's going to knock him out in under 40 seconds flat. As soon as that shield breaks, I switch to the pistols, stay within 10-meter range, and completely annihilate him. Very, very simple build.
Nicely done. I'm impressed.
Alright, thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful, and that's going to be it for the Rebellion build series. Next up is going to be the Cybele, which means we are finally putting the lasers down and focusing on physical explosives.